All right, Tony and Jesse, how will you integrate a biblical worldview into your content area classroom in terms of a teacher-learner relationship?
Well, personally for me, I know that I'm going to be teaching history, so I think it's important to grasp kind of the whole idea of history being something you can learn from, which is kind of like a cliche among history teachers and people who enjoy history, but it's honestly a principle found all over Proverbs. It's just sort of being wise and being able to learn from other people and what they do versus you having to actually go through trouble before you learn. So that's kind of one of the ways I would think that in a teacher-learner relationship, you could incorporate biblical principles. And
also, with like the peer-to-teacher relationship, you have to keep it always professional, and with that comes you have to show that you know the knowledge, you know the information, you know the content, but you shouldn't like bash it over the head. You should be more open to telling them what happened, like depending on the time period and just like the context. But you should never just like give up on someone because they don't know it.
All right, so for the TESOL kids in the classroom, obviously what you guys said would apply to them too, but there's also the fact that in the Bible it says not to discriminate and to do unto others as you would have them do to you, and I believe that goes for being sensitive to their cultures and also applying it to their cultures because they're not having the same experience as your students who are from here, say your classroom in America. For our next question, how will you integrate a biblical worldview into your content area classroom in terms of classroom management and behavioral issues?
yeah, I think for me personally, I think it's really important that on both ends, as a student or as a teacher, there's respect there. And it looks a little bit different whether you're the student or the teacher, but having that respect, having definite rules is really important. And I think one of the ways you think through as a teacher how to have good classroom management is actually the verse that Kara hit on, which is Luke 6:31, and it's the golden rule, which is how would I want, if I was a student, how would I want to be treated? How would I feel like I've been respected by the teacher? And I think that's a great spot to start as a teacher, is going from their perspective and how can I establish rules that they feel that I respect them while they also show me respect.
Classroom management is definitely one of the more important things about teaching. And if you can't manage a classroom, you're not meant to be a teacher. You know, there's always going to be those people that are really annoying and kind of are clamoring for attention in your class. And, you know, no one's perfect. And as you said, like the golden rule, like, how would you like to have others like do unto you? You can't hold it over those people that are annoying and are looking for attention in your classroom. You just have to like give them the consequences and move on, and you just have to keep it professional again, and hopefully they learn from it. You got to manage your classroom. If you can't do that, you can't be a teacher.
As for the TESOL students, I definitely understood like what you said about respect, and I believe that definitely goes for any classroom, and especially for the TESOL students, they might be coming from backgrounds where they don't have the same idea as respect as we do, and so it's good to be sensitive to that while also teaching them what respect is in like our culture too, while still managing to uphold those standards in the classroom. And so they might be coming from backgrounds where they didn't have a great upbringing and stuff like that. So it's always good to be sensitive to that and add that into classroom management. Okay, last question. How will you integrate a biblical worldview into your content area classroom in terms of creation and implementation of lessons in your area of study?
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things that came to mind for me was in a Christian school environment, you know, you're allowed to talk about how the Bible fits into history or other subjects, and I thought instantly to Civil War. You know, there's verses where you can find that they support the notion of, you know, there not being slavery, And so, for instance, Philippians 2:3-4 is a good verse that talks about not doing anything out of selfish ambition or selfish ambition or vain conceit. And so, with that in mind, someone who was a slave owner obviously had their own selfish interests at heart, and that just right there would be a perfect way you could incorporate a verse into your teaching on the Civil War.
And so, and then you remember you are teaching history, stuff that happened a long time ago, stuff that none of us were alive for. And as you said, like with slavery and stuff, people have like completely different perspectives on that. I had like the people that were in the South at that time, people that were in the North, and like people that didn't even care across the world. I mean, different perspectives draw like different meanings, and if you can teach those multiple perspectives of things, you can really like teach it like a 360 type thing of what happened, and it gives a much more entertaining way of like making a lesson plan. You can pull in those multiple perspectives into one.
And that doesn't just go for history, that also goes for teaching English. There's a verse in the Bible that says, bring up a child in the way that he should go. So in the sense of like when they're young, teach them how they should be when they're older, that way they will be that way. And so for these students, it kind of goes for like, for example, like in vocabulary, like teach them like what they should say, what they should not say in different situations, like workplaces. Because this is all new to them, so they don't know. And it's a lot of times miscommunication can happen, and so if we teach them what they should say and how they should act in the workplace, more chance that they'll say those things and act that way that they should. That's all we got.